You can eat junk food and still get in shape. I dropped over 13 kilograms from obviously doing cardio, dieting, etc. But I still ate junk food. Junk food isn't the main stopper when it comes to losing weight. Obviously, it's not good for your health. Obviously, you shouldn't be consuming it much. Maybe 20% of the time, have it. But it didn't stop me from losing weight. Actually, during my cut, when I was getting leaner and stuff like that, it really didn't stop me at all, to be honest. And I mean, I dropped all the weight. By the way, I have been doing this now for over 5 years, all right? Just got done working out, but I've come here. I've been doing this for 5 years now. I know what I'm talking about. I have been in the gym for 3 years, and for 2 years, I did calisthenics. And my biceps do the speaking for themselves. Also, in the description, there are 2 links. One goes to my aesthetic body course, helping you build the aesthetic physique. And the second link is a 1-to-1 hour call with me, where I'll give you any advice you need on fitness. Now, fitness is not or junk food is not going to stop you from getting into shape. If you track your calories, then you will obviously be able to get your goals, because everyone knows calories in, calories out. You will lose weight. You can get into shape if you just eat donuts all day. If you are in a calorie deficit, you could just eat donuts and you would still lose weight. But you could gain weight from just eating broccoli if you ate enough of it. So you have to understand, it comes down simply to just calories in, calories out. If you do not track your calories and you just eat what you want, then yeah, of course you're not going to get into shape. But if you track your calories and you still incorporate some junk food, you can get into shape. So even for me, when I was cutting, 40% of the time I was eating the not nice foods that people say you can't get into shape with, the Pop-Tarts, the biscuits, etc. And 60% of the time, I was getting my protein in, I was getting my nutrients in, and I was eating the real whole foods. But I still dropped all of the weight. So it doesn't really matter. If you are in your calorie deficit, you're going to lose weight. Simple as that. But yes, the truth is, you want to minimize the amount of junk food you are eating. If you are eating way too much junk food, it becomes more difficult to lose weight. Junk food, very addicting, very, very easy to eat a lot of, very high in calories. That's why when you are trying to lose weight, you should try to eat the whole foods as much as possible. You know, maybe 70, 80% of the time, eat the real whole foods, because you're not going to binge on all of, chicken breast. You're not going to binge on, rice, really. You become full up and you don't really crave much of it once you've had a good portion. But you could probably eat 30 Oreos and be fine. So, that's why you should try eat the real whole foods as much as possible, because it's very, very unlikely you're going to overeat on them. Also, they're higher in protein, which is going to help with you building muscle. Also, they keep you full up, means you're less likely to, again, overeat. So eat the real whole foods. And what I mean by that is the meat, the eggs, the fruit, the vegetables, the grains, all of those good whole foods. Eat them 70% of the time, but 30% of the time, 20% of the time, whatever. Eat the junk food. In fact, I actually want you to eat the junk food. Let me explain why. If 100% of the time you only ate the whole foods, it would actually make it more difficult to get into shape, because it's simply not sustainable. Even me, who's been training for 5 years, biceps like this, I know what I'm doing when it comes to fitness. I'm disciplined. I could not eat a real whole food diet for a whole year. But if you said to me, for the rest of your life, Theo, you can have 70% of the whole foods and 30% of the time you can eat the junk food, can you do it? I'd say absolutely yes. Yes, I definitely could. Because it's sustainable. It's not too restrictive. I know, okay, cool. Maybe I eat 2,000 calories a day. Okay, fine. 1,500 calories of that, real whole foods. 500 calories of it, eat whatever you want. And if you're tracking your calories, if you actually know, okay, I'm in a calorie deficit, I need 2,000 calories, that's me in a deficit. I can eat whatever I want technically and still lose weight. Obviously, you don't want to just eat whatever you want all the time. But, 80% of the time, eat the real whole foods. 20% of the time, eat the junk food. If you're putting into your calories, you're still going to be losing weight. You're still going to be getting into shape. On top of all of that, if you're doing cardio, if you're getting your steps in, get 10 to 15,000 steps in, or you're doing some cardio a few times a week, yeah, you can eat a bit of junk food and get into shape. I want you to. I genuinely believe you will make more progress with muscle growth, with fat loss, with overall staying consistent in the gym if you eat junk food. So don't be scared that people always say, oh, junk food, it's obviously cancerous, it's going to kill you, or you shouldn't eat so much of it. Obviously, don't overeat it, because yes, junk food can have those problems, but it depends on the dose. If 100% of the time you're eating junk food, okay, it's going to be very difficult to get into shape. It's going to be very difficult to lose weight. Bring it down to, 90%, then 80%, then 70%, then 60, then 50, then 40, then 30. And then at that point, it's not a big deal. So it depends on the dosage. Yes, junk food can be deadly if you're eating it all of the time and you're never eating the real whole foods. You're never getting the macronutrients you need in. You're never getting the micronutrients you need in. You're never going to make any progress in the gym if you're only eating the junk foods. But you can eat junk foods and still get into shape if you do it in moderation. You can have it 20, 30% of the time and eat the real whole foods, and you will make more progress than the version of you who only eats the whole foods. I really want you to understand that. I've done 2 cuts, really big 2 cuts. I've done my first cut where I lost 8 kg. Nice, well done. And I only ate real whole foods. Then I did another cut where I lost around 13 kg and I had junk food while I was dieting down, okay? Now, which one did I make more progress in? Which one was sustainable? Well, the first cut I did, I lost 8 kg. So you're thinking, wow, it worked, right? I gained all of that weight back in the space of probably 2 months. Just simply because I restricted myself so much that when I finally got to my weight goal, I just ate and ate and ate and ate because the diet exhaustion was so high that, yeah, of course I was going to go and binge. I was hungry. I hadn't had any of them junk foods. I hadn't, gave any freedom to myself at all. And so, yeah, of course I binged and of course I put all the weight back on. But the 13 kg one where I lost 13 kg, I incorporated those junk foods. During the cut, I was eating, maybe up to 1,000 calories a day. I was eating 2,500 calories a day. 1,000 calories a day sometimes came from junk food. And I know that's not amazing for my health, but it allowed me to lose weight and get into shape. So, and I've actually kept that weight off. So again, eat junk food. Don't be scared of it. You can lose the weight, I promise. In fact, it is better. Now, of course, yes, let's get into this debate of health. And yeah, the truth is, eating those artificial Pop-Tarts are obviously not good for you. Look at them. When you go out and look at food, right? When you look at real food, it usually comes from a tree or a plant, or you can harvest it from an animal. When you look at a Pop-Tart, you can't tell me what ingredient is in there that you can even recognize. I mean, there's hundreds of ingredients, chemical compounds coming together to make that artificial Pop-Tart. Obviously, it's not good for you. But if you said to me, you know what, I'm going to have 2 Pop-Tarts for the rest of my life, every day, and the rest of the time I'm going to eat the real whole foods, I say, you know what, you do you, because that is going to cause you to obviously make progress, but also mean you're not going to be too restricted. You're enjoying the food you want. Any athlete you see out there, any bodybuilder you see out there, anyone with amazing physiques, I bet you could ask them and say, hey, how often do you kind of enjoy yourself? And I think a lot of them would say, yeah, I actually do eat a lot of what I want to eat every single day. Obviously, they get their protein in because you need high protein to build muscle. We know that. Get that out of your mind. Obviously, hit your protein goals, hit your macro goals, hit your macronutrients goals. Make sure you eat the good whole foods that are going to be good for your internal functioning. They're going to be good so you feel energized throughout the day, so you can progress in your lifts, etc. All of that, great. But what is stopping you from eating those junk foods a little bit? And if you don't have the craving to, don't go and do it. If you're enjoying just having steak all day, or I don't know, just eating the real whole foods, continue doing that. But this is for people who genuinely are in a bit of a rut. they cannot stick to their diet, I just say stop focusing so much on the junk food. Focus on the calorie deficit, tracking your calories, knowing you're in a calorie deficit, and hitting your protein goals. That is what I would say, because simply losing weight, getting into shape comes down to calories in, calories out. If you hit your protein goals and you train hard, you will build muscle. If you stick to your calorie deficit and you stick to it long term, then you're going to lose weight. So don't focus too much on the food for now. If you're just trying to drop body fat, if you're just trying to get in shape, don't worry about it too much. Just go to the gym, progressively overload, make sure you're actually going up in weight, you're training hard to actually stimulate muscle growth. Give your muscles something to need to grow for. You know, if you're not training hard, your muscles aren't going to grow because there's no more stimulus, no more resistance needed for it to grow. Okay, so yeah. Then, you know, when you're outside the gym, make sure you sleep well, yeah, to obviously allow muscle growth to occur. But yeah, be in your calorie deficit, go and find out where your calorie deficit is. So go and find out your calorie maintenance, go a few hundred calories underneath it, and yeah, eat some junk food here and there. If you stick to them calories, you're going to lose weight. You just need to learn that tracking your calories is the best way to get into shape. And I know a lot of people think it's some eating disorder. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, you never get to enjoy food again. That's not true. Fit your calories into your calorie goal. You can eat junk food. If you don't have that calorie tracking, it becomes a lot more difficult to allow yourself to eat those junk foods because you never really know, oh, am I eating too much? Am I not eating enough? You know exactly, I'm eating this much of the junk food and it's okay because I'm in my calorie deficit. And then obviously, as you lose more weight, you're going to have to reduce your calorie deficit a bit more. So 100 calories go down once, I don't know, the weight has stopped coming off a little bit. It's been a few weeks since you've lost weight. Then yeah, drop your calories by another 100 and continue eating the junk food. That is okay. But maybe eat it 80% of the time, 70% of the time, eat the real whole foods, 20% of the time, 30% of the time, eat the junk foods. You are going to be so much healthier than the rest of the population. Because the rest of the population, they're eating these horrible junk foods 100% of the time, 90% of the time. And then if you think, you know, compare yourself to them, you're eating them, what, 20% of the time? So really, it's not going to have a massive issue on your health. Really, you're going to be building lots of muscle. You're going to be dropping body fat because you know you're in a calorie deficit. You're tracking your calories. You know you're going to be building muscle because you're hitting your protein goals. And life's great. And you can actually stick to it in the long term because you're not some robot and you know you're not so disciplined you can stick to the real whole food diet all the time. And you actually make more progress than the person who isn't eating the junk foods because they're restricting themselves too much. So that's the truth. You can eat junk food and you can get lean. You can eat junk food and get in shape. You can eat junk food and build muscle. I promise you can. Just try reduce it to maybe 20% of the time. If you have, 10 days in a row, say 10 days, 8 of those days, eat real clean whole foods. And then make sure, you stay on your calories and you're in your calorie deficit. 2 days, you could eat whatever you wanted. What's stopping you from doing that? Nothing. You would still make the same progress. So that's what I think. I think incorporate junk foods to actually be able to stay on track. Simple as that. Now, in the description, there are 2 links. The first link is to my aesthetic body course. This is me giving all of my advice, all of my knowledge, everything I know on how to build an aesthetic physique and actually get into the best shape of your life. It goes into all of the things you could possibly ever need to know, how to build muscle, how to get lean, how to stay lean, all of the mistakes that I made that you can avoid and make more progress than I ever did and do it quicker. Then on top of all of that, there is also bonus modules in there which go over more niche topics that you may be wondering about. So for example, how to stay consistent, how to stay motivated, how to make sure you're healthy, how to take good pictures of your newfound physique. All of these different things that you may be wondering about are answered. On top of all of that, there is also my diet and workout plan, which got me jacked and lean. And then on top of all of that, in case you haven't had enough, there is also me doing the exercises myself to show you what the form should look like. And you can just go into the gym and copy my form and basically know exactly what to do when you're in the gym and not feel as if your form is bad, etc. You can just copy me and you will know exactly what to do. Then the second link in the description is to my online one-to-one coaching calls. These are 1 hour long. You can hop on a call with me and I will give you any advice, any question I will answer about fitness, how to build a good physique, how to get in shape, how to be healthy. Any questions I will answer. I will tell you everything you need to know about your diet, about muscle gain, about fat loss, weight loss, whatever you ever need to know, I will answer it for you. So go and check it out. Links in the description.